I heard some guys from Bungie are leaving to go try other ventures.
Dude, I heard it on the internet. A friend of mine read it on the internet. That the dude who wrote it was a friend of a friend. He said that, like, as thanks for finishing Halo, like, Microsoft is going to let Bungie go.
Good thing we've got Tor here. Tor, what's the story on this? This must be real.
Okay, deep breath. Okay, the reason this got a lot of attention is A, people are stupid, and B, it surfaced on the blog section of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, which is a first-rate paper, which is Microsoft's backyard.
No sarcasm.
No, I'm being dead serious now. The sarcasm light is off. So basically, people see a blog post, and to be fair, a lot of big news outlets, like their technology correspondents, will have their own blog. I mean, I guess the most famous example would be like Dean Takahashi's, in the San Jose Mercury News. It's like my blog. So people see blog, so they don't necessarily dismiss it. They see Seattle Post-Intelligencer on the top of the page, but what a lot of them overlook in the middle of the page is the big thing saying reader's blog, and reader's blogs are not part of the official PI stuff. So this guy, Jacob Metcalf, who runs a site called 8bitjoystick.com, which I encourage you not to go to, he styles as an e-zine for nerds, but it's basically his blog, and he's published such weighty articles as Sriracha Hot Sauce, Condiment of the Future.
It's true.
And separate Netflix list is a key to romantic cinematic bliss.
God, how true is that? Me and my roommate would have killed each other by now.
Well, I have to ask, has this guy broached the heady subject of the Oreo pizza?
Exactly. No.
Or what about cats and their love of Halo?
Yeah, and these are his Halo 3 previous topics are even orange cats love Halo 3.
Mm-hmm. So
and
true.
He's got a picture of his cat with the Halo 3 box, exclusive, move over Edward R. Murrow, and then his other one, geniusly titled LOL Halo 3. So this is just some dude blogging about it. But
so it's only a matter of time.
Since this went live, I've actually corresponded with the guy who is adamant that it's true. And he said he spoke to the source, which is about as close to Bungie without being employed by Bungie as you can get.
What does that mean? He's like physically standing outside waiting
someone
for
who's married to someone at Bungie?
I'm touching my nose now, but I'm not allowed to say.
I played 400 hours of Halo 3.
Right. But again, given the proximity, and this person, and Mr. Metcalf said that he knows this person for years, so he's like, the person's beyond reproach. So that gives it a little bit of credence, except for the fact that Microsoft owns Bungie. If you're owned by somebody, you can't just tell your parent company, yeah, we're leaving. And a parent company wouldn't spend, years and years making a multi-billion-dollar franchise, a franchise which we'll get to in a little bit, that generated $170 million in 24 hours, and say, great job, guys, you can just go out on your own now. It's just crazy. They'd never do it. They're never going to give up the Halo name. That is Microsoft's
the implication is that they wouldn't be giving up the Halo name.
Right.
Is that all that his story does kind of go on to say that the IP would remain with Microsoft. Right. Obviously, that this would be more like, hey, Bungie, you can go out and make. Do what you want without our control. If you don't want to make Halo games for the rest of your lives, we understand.
Right, but
it seems maybe a little more plausible. But still crazy.
I would like to say that further on in this wonderfully written story, that it does mention that Microsoft chose to run FASA into the ground instead of spinning them off.
Well, I think to play
FASA is not Bungie. If all the people at Bungie are actually super unhappy and they don't want to make Halo for the rest of their lives, which obviously I would imagine most of them probably don't at this point. That's crazy. That's why the game ends like it does.
I'm not done yet.
I would guess that this would be maybe a play for Microsoft to keep those people on board in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Keep them happy. So like, if you want to be more independent, I guess maybe we could do that. But we'll keep all the technology, obviously, and you'll get to work with your tools, but we'll still own them. And we would prefer it if you continue to just make Xbox games.
do not doubt that after having worked on Halo for almost 10 years, of Halo franchise, they must be itching to do something new.
Marathon. And
just something maybe entirely new. Halo started off, as an RTS. I know they're making the Halo Wars or whatever, but I do not doubt that this guy probably talked to this close associate of a Bungie person, and basically they said that they all kind of we're sick, we're going to Halo and do something else. In the great game of telephone that is the intertubes. Basically people started saying, well, the Bungie is going to split off and they're going to run away, and that's not going to happen. Maybe some Bungie guys want to go do it. The founder of Bungie, Alex Soropian, did start their own studio. Yeah. Maybe they're going to say, okay, we'll give you a greater degree of autonomy now you've given us this gigantic ATM. We can just bring up money out of it, as we're going to get to in a bit. But I don't think that Bungie's not going to split off. And I'm sure some guys will leave.
So-
some guys will probably like, I don't even want to look at the inside of a studio for like another years. I'm going to go like lie down on the
They're
beach in
hiring
Vietnam.
right now. Like Bungie's hiring. They have listings for programmers and all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah, I mean,
So
that's
Tor,
something going on.
reword this rumor, retitle this rumor for me. This is like Bungie people might move on
I'm
from
saying
Halo.
I'm certain a lot of people from Bungie probably want to go like take a break. They've probably been
There you go.
That's fine. But is Bungie going to get spun off into its own independent thing? It can't just walk away from Microsoft, which is what a lot of stories that have basically just kind of glanced at his thing have re-reported and stuff.
Yeah, so it's an outrageous headline, but the content, they might.
The
move on,
content
yeah.
is, I'm sure people, at the end of any great big project, people move on, people go around, and maybe,
Yeah, definitely.
and maybe Microsoft is going to reward them with a greater degree of autonomy.
Yeah.
But I don't think, because now they've got this, they've got a system selling game right now. It's that good. I think that there's probably a kernel of truth in this. But again, through the various prisms of our various forums and whatnot, it's become a completely ludicrous rumor. So,
are you telling me, Tor, that Halo 4 is going to be a PlayStation 3 exclusive?
you heard it here first.
Oh my God!
Ryan Davis, what's up with the Orange Cats?
What?
What's up with the Orange Cats liking Halo? Let's debunk the next story.
It's not true. Only
Tear this
Tabby
guy
is.
down. We're tearing this guy down.
Only Tabby is like. I agree with
Orange
Tor.
Cat's like lasagna. Everyone knows that.
I agree with, and they hate Mondays. Oh my God.
Hang in there, baby.
I agree with
They
Tor.
like lasagna.
I agree with Tor that the core of this whole story is people are going to leave Bungie, which I think is a
Right.
irrefutable fact at this point.
People move on. Change happens.
When I was up there, it seemed like a pretty sweet place to work
Yeah.
for being a converted True Value hardware store or whatever it was. It definitely, I'm sure that they worked like a zillion billion hours and probably burned out on all the people they work with and all that stuff. But it definitely kind of that close knit, tightly knit vibe.
I really hope
off
they get
of
a
it.
little kickback. Everybody gets a little kickback from the success of Halo, because
Well, I'd imagine that they would.
Successful,
hopefully
you say?
Hopefully, it's a large kickback.
Jeff
But,
Gershman, tell me some numbers on how much Halo made. Our first story today, it's coming back like a boomerang with some blood on it. We're going to talk again about Bungie and Microsoft and their split. Now, we had mentioned some of this last week on the show, right, Jeff? We remember this was a rumor.
I remember it
yeah.
like it was just yesterday.
So let's go back and we'll just play some of that and what happened last time. Tor, what's the story on this? This must be real.
So basically, people see a blog post, and to be fair, a lot of big news outlets like 8bigjoystick.com, which I encourage you to go to. It's that good. So basically, Bungie's going to split off, and they're going to run away, and that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think that Bungie's going to split off. I'm certain that Bungie's going to split off. Is Bungie going to get spun off into its own independent thing? Yep.
Oreo pizza. That was last week, and we pretty much nailed that one because this.
Yeah,
week,
that was pretty right on.
did we?
Yeah.
Oh man, if I ate any more crow over the weekend, I would have black feathers coming out of my back right now.
All right, so Tori, give us why you thought this story was not going to be true and what actually turned out.
As Tor from the past said, it is pretty much unprecedented for a division of a company that's owned by the company to just say, we're going to split off, and them just being able to do it. This is just kind of unheard of in just any kind of, it's like your dog walking in and being like, I'm leaving. I'm taking the bowl with me.
Especially when your dog had brought in a sack full of $300 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's weird. There are already all sorts of crazy theories around. And now, as we now have painfully learned, we've all learned that we can't discount crazy theories. As I was reminded by an email into my inbox over the weekend, which I will read on the air at the
Okay.
behest of its author.
Should we put the 5-second delay on?
No,
No, it's clean.
I can control my profanity. Subject: my cat says pwned. Dear Tor, I can't wait to hear your next podcast. Be sure to mention how I got the date, details, and facts right, including that bit about Bungie becoming a separate company, dates for anyone else, and you eventually got it all wrong with your, finger quote, expert pro, unfinger quote, take on the matter, period. Signed, Jake Metcalf.
And Tor, there's nothing we could do. We just have to say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, credit where credit is due.
It's such a ridiculous story. It's like you read it on paper and it sounds like the rantings of a
But
madman.
at the same time, it is the feel-good story of the year.
It is.
It's totally awesome that this happened, and I'm pretty excited about
So
what
Jeff,
it means.
Do you want to explain some of the details of the story and not just our eating crow? And
No, I can do
think that's
this in
the best
rational.
part,
I can
yeah.
do this in rational form. It's basically the rumors are true that Bungie is basically becoming an independent company, which Microsoft, it's funny because you get Bungie's press release and Microsoft's press side by side, and they're phrased very differently. And basically, Bungie makes a point of saying that Microsoft will own a minority of Bungie. So Bungie will be a fully independent company. They said in some interviews online that basically the negotiations, this started over a year ago. So the theory going around now, and this is totally unproven by anybody, so don't sue me. Basically, Bungie kind of was in the middle of Halo 3, like, we want to be split off and independent. So either give us our independence, or we stop working on Halo 3. That's a theory. I don't know how much credence there's to it. Anyway, they're going to become a totally independent company, Bungie LLC. Microsoft will still retain it, and they have a kind of a first look policy at games, basically, where they kind of they can look at it and decide whether or not they want to pass on it.
In what respect? For like a console?
For publishing. So basically, they'll be like, hey, we got a game concept, maybe we'll finally see Pimps at Sea released, and Microsoft has kind of like, whatever, they basically can say, yeah, we will do it, or no, we don't want to do it, you can fish it off to somebody else.
Okay.
But it is a feel-good story of the year, like Jeff said. I mean, this takes an incredibly talented group of people, basically frees them up from the shackles of Microsoft's, labyrinthine.
It's very humbling for Microsoft. I mean, to let them go.
I mean, it's very positive. I'm sure if you're in the game development community, to know that basically your efforts are being rewarded by independence.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's kudos to Microsoft for putting this together.
At the same time, if let's say that crazy theory proves true, I mean, that's a pretty big loaded gun to point at a company to say, hey, you know what, we don't want to make Halo anymore, and since we're about a year away from finishing, we can either just stop right now and leave, or we could finish the game and you can let us leave on our own terms.
Well,
exactly.
That's if that's true.
That's true. I think, Jeff, you had mentioned something where maybe we were talking and like people were going to leave anyway.
I think it's only natural considering how long Bungie has been working on Halo. I mean, obviously some people haven't stayed with the company the whole time. Alex Seropian left to go start his studio that did Stubbs the Zombie, and people have left over the years. I think that maybe they were just looking at, if I had to guess, and I'm guessing, they were looking at just some pretty serious burnout. It's like, what, we're closing out this story arc and doing this, and we love Halo, and at no point I don't think they're saying like, man, I'm so sick of Halo. I'm so sick of this big truckload of money that keeps pulling up. But at the same time, they probably wanted to do something else. They probably had other game design dreams that they would like to do, and being tethered to Microsoft as closely as they were, Microsoft really controlled their fate. And when it comes down to conducting business, Microsoft's going to say, well, all right, figure out what Halo game you're going to make next.
Right.
I don't care if you don't call it Halo 4, but Halo's got to be in the name of it. It makes sense, for some people to kind of speak up and say, look, we don't want to do this. So I don't necessarily believe that it was like, we're not going to finish Halo
like
3.
Right.
I think it could have been something more like, either we leave as soon as we finish Halo 3 to go do something else, or you can keep this talented group together and have them, basically at your beck and call. Microsoft doesn't lose a whole lot out of this because they still have that first look deal. And they still have a minority stake in the company, so they still have a say in what Bungie does, just not a very big one.
That's kind of how I imagine it.
I still want to believe it my way, just because I want to believe everyone is as vindictive and evil as I am.
Jerk.
Yeah, I want to believe that I'm not the only big jerk in the world, and everyone else is as bad as I am.
They're still going to have some say, and they're still involved with the Halo Peter Jackson project and stuff like that. Whenever we'll see that,
Master Chief Adventures, dude.
Exactly, Master Chief in Super Smash Brothers. Well, you were here first.
Halo : Master Chief Adventures : Marathon 4
at sea.
So it's really interesting story. I'd like to see more on it, and and they keep spinning this as saying the relationship has evolved. Combat evolved.
Evolution.
So I've been in this industry, better part of a decade. Working here 4 years, and I've never seen anything like this.
No, it's pretty amazing, and like we said, it's kind of a nice story. There's no hard feelings, it seems on the surface, in the PR speak. Yeah.
I'm sure Bill
It's
Gates
nice for somebody.
There's someone underneath all this is like, oh, those jerks. They got us.
Wringing their hands and
But at the same time, a lot of the questions to Bungie since this news came out is like, does this mean you're going to make PlayStation 3 games? Like, no.
Yeah.
Not anytime soon anyway.
Yeah,
they've kind of said that.
Not any good
They
ones.
said they're focused still on Microsoft platforms.
Right.
Which means 360 and PC. And basically, this basically means that they're going to be like Naughty Dog or Insomniac, kind of be like a second party game, most likely. I don't know if I can even rule anything out about this story now. It's so full of crazy, and I mean, I have no input.
Now Halo DS can come out, right?
Yeah, right. I was actually going to say, this is going to be the one thing that's going to re-inject the crazy back into this story, is Matt Casamassina jumping up and down. I told you it was going to...
Would he do it like that?
I think he already pretty much did do it like that.
So that story kind of threw us for a loop, and it was something that kind of came out of nowhere pretty quickly and got resolved pretty quickly.